because like we don't really give a fuck no more. But I think that shit is corny, especially because it comes from people that like are supposed to support you and stuff when you're on the road, but the people that's supposed to have your backs on the road be the main ones clowning you. So that shit is corny.
Yeah, but you've been there before. You remember that when you were with ADR? And people said the same thing to you guys, even when you were in A.
I agree. BDR. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
let's be real. Like, my opinion on it is
I get both sides.
I do get both sides. And you know what? I'll be honest. I did say to somebody on PME the other day, I'm not going to say names because I don't say names for anything, but I said straight up, you guys should at least do A for a local tournament because by far the best A team right now in the region is PME.
Yeah, so we did
That's
that.
No disrespect to the Elite Rebels,
like,
the Misfits, the Scorpions, or any of those teams who played A at Ocean City. But PME, you forget, has won the last tournament in the DMV and A.
I was about to say, bro, like we already did the local tournament. So like we already took that route. We won the Capital Classic. So now we back to, doing our own thing. And a lot of things that like people don't understand, man, is like, yeah, y'all are an A team, so y'all should step up. Y'all duck and wreck, blah, blah, blah. But like what a lot of people don't understand is with the whole COVID shit, like we didn't play on the circuit at all in 2020. And we didn't play on the circuit at all in 2021. And our first time off of Tucker Road or like in a tournament setting that wasn't like league play was the Capital Classic. That was our first tournament. And we just so happened to win it. And then we won nationals. So like, we doing our own thing, man, at our own pace. So we're going to play B until further notice, or at least until we collectively decide that that's not what we want to do anymore. And then we'll make the jump to A when we want to, and, not a minute sooner. Like there's no amount of pressure that we can get from anybody outside of PME that will force us to make the move quicker than we want to. Because, they're not playing for our team and they're not having the conversations that, we're having internally, or trying to make the moves or get the pieces that we need and, do the gelling that we feel we need to do and stuff like that. So until James or Dio or, PME as a whole decides that that's something that we want to do, then we'll play what we want to play.
And, at the end of the day,
no doubt. I feel
it beat them. If you don't like them in the B, beat them.
My thoughts exactly.
I know that's easier said than done, but don't get me wrong. I had my fair share of getting my ass kicked when I made my own teams back in the day. Ross, you got your fair share of ass kickings. Man, Key, remember when you played the Warriors the first time?
Oh yeah, I do, man. That was in the spring of 2017.
Yep, and we just went over 5 years since Too Much Talent came up north, 81.
Yeah,
changed the Washington County Flag Football League.
Honestly, bro, that was my first year. Like, that spring was my first time ever playing 9-man, and I just started playing 8-man. Like, I want to say the year before in 2016. Like, I'd never played flag prior to like 2015, 2016.
And you know what? It's crazy. That first time you played flag football, 9-man flag football, I should say.
Yep.
Was in a circuit tournament.
Yeah, with TMT.
Too much talent. Yeah.
Honestly, bro, like even we kind of revisit this every chance we get, man.
Yes, we do. Did I show you film last time you were on? If not, I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know for sure that you posted it, and I remember having a long run against whoever the team was. Man, I didn't know anything about names, teams, A, Bree, none of that. Like A, B, none of that, bro. Like TJ was just like, come out and play for TMT in the tournament. Like the entry fee is already paid. I just need you to meet me at this field at this time. And I'm like, bet.
That's how it just came about. We had talked about it a few weeks ago while we had TJ and Dame on, talking about the origins of Too Much Talent. That Hagerstown 16 tournament, that Too Much Talent team, not a lot of people realize how many guys ended up from that team playing later on the circuit throughout different squads, and even went on to win championships in A and B. And that was a team that was very much thrown together with guys that was a mix of TJ's people he knew from Winchester 8-man. Survivors had a couple players on there from that squad that carried over from that team into fall 16. People forget the Warriors were actually involved in that first Too Much Talent squad in 2016.
I didn't know anybody, man. I just
I didn't know hardly anybody either. Yeah.
Word.
Like I came in because it seemed like an awesome opportunity. Get out there and just get a circuit game and just be part. Yeah, Keith and Brock. That's why I supported it. People I knew were on that team.
Yep.
And I was a big advocate for TJ when he got in the league early on because I saw the potential of him when we played against him in that fall 16 and what he could do.
Got you.
Yeah. But like that ALU TNT game, stored version.
Let's see.
Because you do show up on this film a good bit.
I know for sure that I scored in this game. But I can't tell you what the score was. I thought it was a lot to a little. I know it was cold.
You know what's crazy? We lost only 26-18.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And ALU pulled away at the end with one more touchdown. It was a dogfight to the finish.
Yeah, maybe.
You need to revisit this. I'm going to make you revisit this real quick. They just went up. They just went up early on. There's an interception thrown by the quarterback for TMT. I won't say his name. This guy here, ALU at the time, was an A team playing in Baltimore.
Okay.
And the commentator on this was Jaya Mia, who was And Jaya's broadcast of this is the definition of a biased broadcast. She was
really,
bro. She called TJ phony. She was making fun of us. She talked so much smack that I was getting mad on the sideline.
Shifty. Okay.
Oh,
that is me.
Get him, LB. Did he take it to the house? Oh,
get him,
she's naive.
Yo, first of all, look at my swag. I was out there dressed.
Somebody get him.
Kill and just a throw out there.
Okay, looking Bill. Wait.
I was dressed like I worked
boy.
construction.
Come on, P, go.
You hear that?
Woo! Somebody get that shit. Somebody.
I love Jaya.
Hey!
She's just as bad as me and Mason Dixon 17, though. I was pretty biased.
Okay, PJ scrambling. Keon's got it.
All right, I'm over this.
Something about his pinky. I told you that.
I wanted to get that touchdown in, and that was it.
I appreciate it, man. But yeah, bro, like I said, I wasn't hip to the circuit at all, and I just knew it was super cold. So like, I didn't have on a uniform. Like, if I remember the uniforms that we were offered were really just like t-shirts with like spray paint or some shit like that. And so I just went out there dressed warm.
Dead ass right behind me.
Yeah.
We got them all on here for the 5-year anniversary of the spring 2017 season, the first live streaming season we did at County. Tyler started it off with that Red Knights Too Much Talent game. Yep. And then a couple weeks later was the Broad Axe Red Knights game. That game. And then TMT ended the streak. You remember that one?
I do.
Yeah, that wild season. Fun. We got West Virginia Ducks, Too Much Talent, Broad Axe. Obviously, the Warriors won, but if Ross breaks it out here, we can put it up here. But carrying on now, going into this weekend, you guys came out there, B champion, third straight championship in a row for you guys in the circuit tournament. A three-peat, A Capital Classic, B in terms of nationals, B in terms of Ocean City. AC is coming. Let's go through the journey, actually.
Okay.
Right off the gate, you guys had Gusto Land, who not a lot of us knew what Gusto Land had left because of Capital Classic, they were very thin.
Okay.
And what was your impressions of that matchup with Gusto?
I think that, and I talked to some of the guys when we went out. I think it was Saturday. We saw a couple of them in secrets. No disrespect, but I think that Gusto Land has good players, but not necessarily a good team. And not that they're a bad team, but I think that they have a couple good players that make them a decent team.
Yeah.
And if they had a couple more good players, then they would, obviously be a better team. I think the final score for our game was like 26-6 or something like that.
I think it was overmatched against you guys. Like trenches were an issue for them last year, and I think they have that issue this time around.
Yeah, so I would say my impression, like I don't really take any team lightly or anything like that, but once you feel like sometimes when you go up by a couple scores, then like teams don't necessarily give up, but maybe their fight is gone a little bit, especially for like a Saturday game, right? Like,
yeah.
So we went up by a couple scores pretty easily. And then it got to the point where like it felt like we were no longer competing. We were instead like obviously trying to score every time we got the ball and trying to make stops on defense every time they got the ball. But as far as them, they were just kind of, eventually just rolling with it until the game ended, in my opinion.
I can see that, especially for a Saturday day one game when they had Steelers coming up next and we're not having this day.
Exactly.
Sometimes you do have to kind of sit back and say, okay, next battle.
Right.
Because some games are just lost sometimes. And I feel like PME was too much for gusto.
It was like, honestly, from the jump, like we were just like, in my opinion, again, clearly the better team. And like, we came out hot. Like there were obviously hiccups and stuff like that, but it was very difficult to tell that we have not played a game as a team since nationals. Like I think we've had one practice and maybe 15 guys showed up because everyone has their own, obligations and stuff where they can't make it. But we haven't played in a game or anything really formalized as a team since January. So.
Yeah. And that's the one thing too, is like, I think a lot of people forget when you are coming up as a team that sometimes you have to pick and choose your battles along the way for what makes sense given everything that you've been doing up to that point. Every Maple team is making their debut this Sunday or this weekend, Ocean City. And a lot of them faced off against each other, which adds a level of victory going into league play.
We did.
Speaking of which, ride out. You guys just went right through them 26-6. There was a bit of a comeback toward the end, but interception in the end zone killed.
I was about to say comeback 26-6. Like,
here's the thing though, they were driving at 19-6 in the red zone. Got a first and goals. Yeah,
that's fair.
They were close, but the pick is what killed it. Once the pick happened, that was game.
No, you're right. That's fair.
Yeah. Now, having caught it would have been at least interesting going into the fourth quarter.
I think that specifically for ride out, like for a league play, they're kind of always in the mix. If we have 10 teams, they might be top 4, top 5 heading into the playoffs. They've just haven't really been able to put it together recently, especially we just have their number, honestly, or we have had their number in recent times because we beat them.
Wasn't close either.
Yeah, I think the championship, well, 1, they didn't score. And 2, like we either scored 3 or 4 times. So it was like 21 or 26-0 or something like that. So honestly, we've really just had their number. I think that like when you play a team so often and you just kind of get used to the players and what they're going to do and stuff like that. So it just so happens that they haven't been able to stop what we are doing offensively in recent times. So we've just kind of had their number recently.
Yeah. And I think because of that, it's going to take some adjustments for ride out because the last 2 meetings have not been close. 20-point differences minimum both times.
Correct.
And you got to go back to the drawing board. The good news is Maple hasn't started yet. Plenty of time to make adjustments throughout this year.
Yep. Honestly, I don't know like when we play ride out or what that schedule looks like or anything because our schedules are going to be adjusted because of the rain out for week 1. So I couldn't really tell you anything about Maffle or when we play who or anything.
But no matter what, you'll see them at some point this year.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And it should be also when Maffle kicks off on Sunday. We're looking forward to it. Yeah. That delay really stinks though, to miss the first week because of the parks, unfortunately. But we know all about that over here too.
Yeah.
Steelers.
Steelers, I don't know, man. I think that they are a decent team. Like initially, when we played them on Saturday, I think we got out early. So we were up like 12-0 or something like that. But the thing was, okay, so not to toot my own horn, but what happened was I think we got ball first. And then I scored on the very first play of the game. And we didn't get the ball back until 2 minutes left in the half.
That's a smart strategy, though.
I agree completely.
Yeah. See, the Steelers seem like, yeah, McKeon just said in the comments, tough read. Honestly, my opinion with that team was they are one of those teams who can adjust to anything.
I agree.
And they are a smart team, which teams don't understand that you could be skilled and talented, but if you lack the IQ in certain situations or you don't account for certain things, the smarter teams tend to be the ones who find a way to win no matter what. Because they go out and game plan based on it, based on what they're seeing. They make adjustments as need be. And I liked what the Steelers team had this weekend. What was the difference though between the first game and second?
Difference between the first game and the second. Honestly, I would say the fact that we felt that we played down to our competition in the first game. And that's no disrespect to them, but we tied them 18-18 on Saturday.
Crazy.
Back in our hotels or back in our houses thinking like, how the hell did we do that? You know, because like we're coming into these tournaments thinking we're the show. And again, that's no disrespect to anyone, but like there are a lot of people that weren't at nationals or a lot of people that just see, you know, PME or BME or whatever the hell the joke's going to be for that particular week. And they've either never seen us play before or they have seen us play before and they don't feel that we're that good. So like we go into these weekends kind of with a chip on our shoulders thinking everybody hates us, including some of the guys that are in our local leagues, in our opinions. So for that game to be 18-18, we felt like it shouldn't have been close. And then we kind of moved that into Sunday thinking, okay, well, this game is not going to be close. And it was actually, I think that it was a one-score game where they had the opportunity to kick an onside kick, and it just so happened to go out of bounds, so they didn't get the ball back, and we didn't get the chance to return it. I think this final 28-23, but our mindset rolling into Sunday was, I can't believe that we kept this game close on Saturday. So, like, we have to obviously win because, you know, we don't want to lose and ultimately go home, but at the same time, we just felt like we probably should have beat them pretty easily on Saturday.
X.
So, they are a smart team, though. Like, I don't think that, like, position for position, they have the best guys. No Bosch. They don't have the best talent, I guess, in every position field, but like sometimes in key situations, they just work well together. You know, like they have a lot of smart players, like you said, a couple vets that I saw out there and a couple people that I just knew from talking to my teammates that are older guys that have been around for a bit. So they at least have some level of leadership that can put them in decent positions to win or at least compete in a lot of games.
I can see that.
So that's it.
And honestly, watching them against X-Dogs, which was my exposure to them, they were down very early, and the X-Dogs could have easily came out there and blew them out the gate, but they turned it around. The pass rush got to Eisenberg. The Dogs had guys in the skill position to play, but the Steelers exploited their secondary heavily in that second half. And honestly, they're a team to look out for the rest of this year, in my opinion.
Yeah,
what they bring to the table. They're one of those teams who, if you don't know them, you will by the end of the game.
I agree. Yeah, so that was a fun game, like a second matchup against them. And again, it was close. So if they would have gotten the onside kick, then it may have come down to the final play or something like that. But we were up by a score. They kicked it out of bounds. So, you know, game over at that point because we get the ball back automatically. But it was much closer than we'd liked it to be. Pause.
Rampage in the semifinals, which rematch of the Capital Classic Championship, and same result from what I was hearing.
So I've mixed feelings.
After.
So one, it wasn't really much of a game from start to finish.
Neither was the last one. That's why I walked away at halftime.
And, that kind of was what it was. Like once the score became like a certain score, then like we played 6 games in 2 days. So like we're thinking, okay, some of these guys have to get rest, like guys like myself, like Tim, like, Chico, stuff like that. Like Chico played both ways, both sides of the ball all weekend long. Tim played both sides of the ball all week. I played, 90-something% of our offensive snaps, the heat, the games, whatever. So like our guys started to sit a little early, no disrespect, in the Rampage game, gearing up for the championship because the game wasn't close. And I think similar to Rideout, like we've just recently had Rampage's number. Like they beat us in the first round of the playoffs in the fall of the spring of last year.
Yeah, but the biggest factor there was I believe it was Cody's late hit.
Yes.
Pass. Yeah, the late hit on like 4th down, I want to say it was.
So they got 4 downs from like the 5 or something like that. And we still had
half the distance got called.
Yeah, we still marched down the field and still had a chance to win. Game. So
that extended the game because like that was an incomplete pass and just he hit him after the fact.
Exactly. So but ever since then, man, like it hasn't really been much of a game in the games that we've played against Rampage. I will say that part of our motivation came from the fact that we take it, highly offensive when we hear other teams like playing our drums. And like, obviously we don't own the sound or whatever, and people are going to troll or do whatever they feel is necessary in order to maybe mess with the other team. But they broke their huddle doing like our drum sound, 1, 2, 3, Rampage, 4, 5, 6, boom. And then we hear doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. And we're like, what the hell? The game just started. Like y'all focused on the wrong stuff right now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. That doesn't work unless you win the game. You got to win the game before you do all that.
So that was part number 1. And part 2 was they made us move sidelines. And we personally just felt like it was just sucker shit. Like we all like not necessarily friends, but we all cool, man. We all from the DMV. We all from around the way. Done played against each other for years at this point and stuff. So it's like, we watched them play against Team Petty the game before ours, and they shared a sideline. Team Petty on one side of the 50, Rampage on the other side of the 50.
Oh, my God.
They end up being Team Petty, and we're like, okay, bet. We're just going to replace Petty on the sideline so that nobody has to take the walk or whatever, because we're all watching the game. And Rampage pulled we're the higher seed, so y'all pack y'all shit and go to the other side of the field. So like, we got to move our stuff. We got to move our girlfriends, wives, like baby sisters, moms, shit like that. Like, really? Like, is it really that serious? And they like, nah, because, if y'all get the barking and we get the barking, it's going to be some trouble. And we thinking, and we ain't trying to fight y'all. Like,
I mean, I can see that too.
Like,
we shared sidelines before tournaments.
I can understand in the perspective of like, shit might get chippy, whatever, but come on, man. Like, cool off the field. And then like, why would you do that?
I think teams share sidelines and opposing players talking strategy to one another.
Yeah, like I'm little like pregame fun. And I'm like, I feel you. Like I understand what you're saying, but like that's just not fun to us. We just played 5 games or 4 games or whatever. Like we're not really trying to pack our shit up and move to the sideline just because you feel like trolling right now. And then we heard one of your players playing the drums. Now we mad. So
understandably so.
What the fuck,
and
y'all?
that anger showed through as you guys just ran through Rampage once again. And
exactly. So
what was the final score of it?
Honestly, similar to Rideout. It was, I think, 3 scores, 26-20, something like that. 27 or no, 26-6 or something like that. 27-6.
PM me by 3 scores.
True indeed.
And that's quite the case in the championship, though. And what I was told was a crazy game. I haven't really gone over all the film. I was filming the A chip, but the final score of that one, 27-21 PME over the Bad Boys.
Okay, so first and foremost, I think that the Bad Boys are a good team. And I think that they played well, but they had like offensively, our defense stopped everything that they were trying to do on offense, in my opinion. Their very first drive, there was some confusion with us and with the refs and like, you know, all that shit. But the long story short is we stopped them. They get to fourth down and they're like, okay, we're about to kick a field goal. The ref is like, declare kick. A gaps are closed, no rushing, yada, yada. And then they just throw it to a wide open guy on the sideline for a touchdown. So they just fake the field goal. And that completely caught us off guard. Not saying that it was illegal or anything, but it just caught us off guard, obviously, because, you know, how often do you see that in flag, you know?
Yeah.
So that was their first.
Always pay attention to a team sideline. And if anybody's over that line, I'm going to say that because like a lot of that formation's been popping up in games.
Right.
A couple years.
So that was their
first. It's a good
score.
idea. Trust me. It's smart.
I agree. So that was their first score. And then we drove that every time we had the ball, with the exception of time expiring at the end of the first half, we scored. So they scored on the fake field goal. We marched down. We score. Actually, I think that we scored on play number one. My man, Tim, 7-yard out route, took it to the house. So now score's tied, or, you know, 7-6 them. We missed our extra point. So it's 7-6. They get the ball back. We get a stop. They punt. And I think we score. And now we're up 13-7. And then we get a pick. And my man Newkirk, honestly one of the faster guys in the area, especially at the defensive back position. He catches an interception and we're already up a score. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, we about to break this lead open a little bit. And while he's running, he pitches the ball back and Eddie intercepted the pitch and then scored.
You've been there before.
I've absolutely been there before, which is the reason why I wasn't mad at them. Like, that's not public information. You feel me? We're not going to tell everybody about that shit. I didn't tell my teammates about that, but they know now. But yeah, so I'm like,
I'm about to say, man, wasn't the pitch to one of your teammates in that game?
The pitch, was it to Chico?
I'm pretty sure Chico's the one who picked that off against you in that 80-yard AFL chip at County.
If he did not pick it off, he is for sure the one that scored for AFN to put them up.
Yeah,
he did one of those.
Chico played a pivotal role somewhere at the end of that game.
Yeah, he did one of those like kid dances, like he did the Millie Rock or like the shoot or some
Chico
shit like
just
that.
Says it sure was him.
No, yeah, exactly. So, but that's a different story for another day. I'll probably never tell that story. But
we'll go over it next year when they hit 5 years.
Right. So Newkirk pitched the ball back.
He did score. Okay.
Eddie gets an interception, and then he takes it to the house. He scores. So now they're up 14-13 because we missed an extra point. And a lot of people were asking us or like kind of mentioning like, damn, y'all seem so calm and, you know, calm, cool, and collected on the sideline when Newkirk pitched the ball back to the other team. Like, you know, if it was us, we would have been so hot. Like we would have, you know, screamed on them. We would have did this. We would have did that. And we thinking like, for what? Like my thought is,
yeah, why get hot? Like you got to move.
I'm looking at Newkirk, disappointed in himself for giving the ball back to the other team and allowing them to score. I know he's upset with himself. I don't need to fucking kick my teammate while he's down. You feel me? And like, we got to move on to the next thing. So like Newkirk, when you get your ass back on the field, just make a play for us, bro. Like we got your back. Same way we know you got our back. So like, we're not about to kick him while he's down or like talk badly to him or not like that. Is really, you know, us looking at our quarterback. Dio's like, man, fuck that. We about to go get it back. So we're like, all right, cool. Get the ball back. We drive down and like I said, the time expired or whatever, but then we get the ball back out of the half and we end up scoring. So now the score is 20-14 or 19-14 or some shit like that. I'm not sure about the extra points and the 2-point conversions or whatever. So now we're up a score, and then they score and they're up a couple points because they hit all of the extra points, and then we score again. Now it's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and my man Tim did what Tim does. A lot of people don't know, man, like, because he's quiet, he's reserved. He might like chuck a peace sign on his way to the end zone or something like that, which he got flagged for this past weekend. But in my opinion, Tim is one of the best two-way players in all of flag, like in all of 9-man. And again, people don't really give him his credit because he doesn't really talk much. He doesn't, comment too much on the board. He doesn't troll, none of that stuff. And because we're a B team, so Tim doesn't get the credit that he deserves. But again, he's one of the top 3 two-way players in 9-man, in my opinion. So Tim did what Tim does, and he got an interception. When all they had to do was drive down, score, kick the extra point, they win the game. Tim got a pick with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. We get the ball back. They had 1 or 2 timeouts. We get a first down, game over. So that was that. I think that it was a little closer than we wanted it to be, but it was a dogfight. Like, the Bad Boys, again, they were a good team, and they proved to us, no matter how they scored, they proved to us why they were even in the championship game, which was cool. It was a nice game to play in, to be a part of, and all that stuff. But obviously the goal is to win. So it was cool that we ended up winning that one too.
And I congratulate you guys on that. PME, B champion, Ocean City. Thank you for joining us tonight, Q. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.